Felicia Gallimore, against the odds, received the MBA at 22. She tells us how. Welcome to Profile. I'm Ian Bowen. Welcome to Profile. Week after week, we bring people who achieve against the odds, people who show us that despite the hand that we have been given in life, we can make the best use of our opportunities. There are many persons who have done this. It is important for us to hear their stories, and that is what Profile has been about for these 30 years. So Felicia adds her story to this amazing repertoire that we have. Good to have you on the show, Felicia. You achieved against the odds, and one of those painful things that you had to deal with was child sexual abuse. You were raped at 9. Just about how that affected you.
Well, Ian, in spite of not having all the niceties in life at that age, I was fairly happy. I lived with my extended family, and I mean, even today I was recalling to my mother that one of my favorite memories were when we would just have boiled dumpling with just butter. As simple as that was, things were hard. And I mean, it would be Christmas for you if you got the butter dish and you were able to put that dumpling in there. Yes, and many persons take these things for granted, but that was a fun meal for me. So I was very happy. Yes, I didn't have textbooks in primary school, but I was very happy. However, on a dark day, the trajectory of my life, it just changed, because this one person decided that he was going to be cruel and he was going to give in to his baser instincts and defile a child.
And this was somebody that you knew, that the family knew and trusted.
Well, the situation was this. It's summer. And you know, typical Jamaican summer setting, you leave the children at home. And I was the eldest and far more mature beyond my age, to tell you, and he was doing work in the yard. Right. So because I would make the meals for my siblings, and he would come and get water and so on. So it was a typical day. He came to get water, and things happened from there.
Yes. And unusually, though, you said you told your mother the same night, because usually victims in these circumstances keep that information to themselves, you know, bear all of that pain alone. But you told your mother.
Yes, because you have to understand, my mother and I, we had this partnership relationship. She had me as a teenager.
So you had you as a teenager?
Yes, product of a teenage home. My father wasn't there. So it was just us. And she always admonished me.
Oh, she was a student. Tell us a full story with that.
Oh, my God.
Well, I'll leave it up to you.
All right, well, that's her story to tell, but I'll give you a tidbit. My mother was a student, and my father was a teacher.
Your father was a teacher?
Yes, a senior teacher at that school. Yes, and because of her brilliance, and they shared a kinship with reading books. The Bowen series, actually. So they would exchange books. Right. So that's how that relationship started.
Yes.
He was rather charming. He was a musician. He spoke several languages, so you'd understand. And, you know, people were drawn to him.
Yes.
So the relationship happened from there.
But he was not in your life?
No, he was not. As I can remember, as a matter of fact, the only thing I got from him was November of grade 1. I got a phonics book from him, or a phonics book, depending on how you pronounce it. Yes, and he had gotten the book list from July. So my mother, with fierce determination, said, listen, it is my child, I will take care of her. And as you can see, she transferred some of that determination into me. Yes. So she decided that, listen, I am going to take care of my child. And come hell or high water, that's what she did. And from that, we grew together. So we would spend our days together on Saturdays cleaning the house, and we would always talk. And she sat me down, and she admonished me. She said, Lisa, that's my pet name. She said, listen, no one should touch you here. No one should touch your underwear. No one should do this. No one should do that.
She told you all of those things?
Yes.
Discharge
we were very open.
Responsibilities, yes.
Yes, we're very open. And
so that day when that
day when
took
I
place,
knew it was wrong, but I was a tiny little tot. Yes. I mean, it's hard to believe now, but at that time I was a tiny little tot, and I was defenseless. The door was locked. There was no escaping me. And thinking back on it, I know it sounds so strange, but I thank God that it was me and not my cousins, because 3 other girls were there. They were younger than me. And I didn't understand exactly what happened, but I knew it was wrong. And when she came home, I sat in her lap and I said, Mommy, I have something to tell you. And she said, what? And I told her. And that's when the magnitude of what happened registered. Because for the first time, my tower of strength, my superwoman, the first time I saw her cry was that. And it broke something inside me. I couldn't understand. And then I had a closer relationship with my grandmother. And my mother said, you cannot tell her. And we kept it from her, and I said, but we're a close family, we share everything. So that then sort of weighed on me as well, that I was keeping the secret from my grandmother. So it was not just the event, but the spiraling, what took place afterwards. Being at, when we left, my uncles got so angry when they found out. My entire family was enraged. We had to go to the police station. We had to go to the hospital.
You went to court?
Yes, there was a court case.
There was a court case?
Yes.
So you as a young child?
Young child, yes.
To court?
Yes, so my mother would
go through all of that.
Yeah, she would have to call the school and to say, tell her to, you know, tell them to tell me to meet me at the library, meet her at the library, and that was code for the courthouse. And we sat there in night court, in my uniform there, and I had to testify. And the judge was like, that was so vivid, and you know, for such a young child, you gave such a good account of it. And again, I blamed myself because the judge in turn was saying my mother shouldn't have left me at home. So again, I felt another hurt, another pain, as if I'd betrayed my mother and as if I did something wrong. So there's so many ramifications. Yes, the domino effect, man.
Well, you still passed your common entrance GSAT?
Yes.
It didn't prevent you?
No, it did not. Because what I did, in understanding that I started reading books, and that provided an escape. And when my eyes would hurt, I would put the books down, and then I created my own world, my own escape.
Fantasy.
Yes, I had my fantasy world.
The perfect world.
Yes, where nothing was done. I could eat anytime I want. I had meals, and then I created these friends, and I had this world that was there. So when things would get rough, that story would keep me throughout, and I carried that from that age until now. Yes.
And you passed for Herbert Morrison?
Yes, Herbert Morrison Technical High School.
Yes. And went on to become deputy head girl there?
Yes, I was deputy head girl, student council vice president, PRO for the Tourism Action Club. Yes, I was in drama, debate, netball.
And graduated with 10 CXCs?
Yes, 10 CXCs.
7 distinctions?
Yes. 7 distinctions, 2 2s, and a 1. Of course, in math, I'm not very good at math.
You're in accounting.
I know.
You graduated Suma Cum Laude, you know.
It's very paradoxical,
yes,
I know, but yes.
Yeah.
And even there, we face odds, because I didn't have textbooks, and my mother lost her job, and I had to spend time with my cousin. And I remember in the mornings going to school, we would wake up, and my cousin would just go outside and pick some fever grass. She would boil the fever grass. We had the cup of tea, and she walked me, and I got a taxi, went to school.
Yes.
And when I didn't have lunch,
sometimes no lunch money.
No lunch money. I would read a John Grisham novel or a Daniel Steele, or I would just sit there daydreaming about my story that I was writing in my head. Yes.
No wonder you have now produced your own novel.
Yes.
Ayer?
Yes, Ayer.
Ayer.
Yes. It's Spanish for yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes.
But we're talking about today with our nom de plume. Nom de plume.
Yes.
Veronique
V. Yes. So Veronique.
Talk about, you know, creating your own world, you know, and escaping from this this world. We're talking to Felicia Gallimore. She's telling her story. We take our first break on Profile.